Good evening. Hi, everybody. James Holmes Jr., Black Lion Foundation. Today, Uncle James is coming hard. We're going to get a lot of done, got a lot of meat for you. We're going to talk about demystifying investments, and I'm going to show you what to do with your stimulus money, how to make good use of it. I'm going to walk you through it step by step by step. Also, I'm going to show you how to raise your credit score by 100 points or more. I'm going to walk you through it step by step by step. And lastly, we're going to go over what I call Judah's plan. Judah is my first grandchild, unborn at this point. Judah is due to arrive in early March, if all things go well. We want a healthy and happy baby. But the day that Judah gets here, we're going to put his plan into action. And I will show you what we're going to do with Judah's plan. The thing about it is, remember, folks, we're talking generational wealth here. We're not talking just for us to eat now. We're talking about generations to follow us. And the more of us that get on that program in the bandwagon, the less traumatized we'll be and the less discriminated we'll be. That's just facts. So first of all, let's go with demystifying investments. What to do with your stimulus money. Okay? Joe Biden was recently elected as president and promised that most Americans will receive $2,000 stimulus check. Now, $600 of that was already sent, so there should be another $1,400 coming. First of all, take $400 of it and do whatever you want to do. Buy Jordans, Hennessy, pay bills, whatever. It doesn't matter. The other $1,000, set that aside. I'll show you what to do with it. First of all, let's talk about some foundational stuff, because what's necessary really before you start any investments is getting your mind right. And that's actually more important than holding tangible dollars in your hand. I promise you, it really is. I will give you an example. Is if you take the 5% of wealth individuals in the world, okay, and you take all of their money and you evenly distribute it to everybody so that everybody has the same amount. In 15 years, roughly, the same people will pretty much still be on top of the hierarchy and the other people will still be lower. So that's why it's important to get your mind right. So a couple foundational things. I believe in mentorship. I have a lot of young people that I work with, and I have mentors myself. My local mentors are Bob Holly and Kim McNeil. Those are my local mentors, somebody that I can just pick up the phone right now and call. They'll answer, and whatever I need to know, they'll pretty much let me know. Very rarely do they not have the answers. I'm fortunate. So thank you, Bob. Thank you, Kim. As far as my financial mentors and economic mentors, they're John Hope Bryant and Dr. Boyce Watkins. Those are the two that I follow the closest. I read several economists and so forth of all different areas, but those are the two that I agree with the most. I have not adopted their programs, because what I have, when it's all said and done, is my own unique program, but there are certain principles that I find that are absolute with the foundation of Boyce Watkins' philosophies as well as John Hope Bryant's philosophies. So Boyce Watkins, for example, this is his cheat code. If you just fast forward all the way to the end, basically what his cheat code says is that if you want financial independence or financial freedom, however you want to term it, you have to own. So you're going to have to own something, real estate, property, so forth. You got to own. You have to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you're working for somebody for a while so you can get things worked out enough to where you can go and start working for yourself. Because really, when it's all said and done, if you're working hard, if you're productive, and if you're doing well, you're either making yourself wealthy or you're making someone else wealthy. It's your choice. And then finally, Boyce Watkins, he speaks about investing. And you have to have all three. Investing, you have to. You just have to demystify it, take the cloak off of it, and you have to jump in the water and actually start investing. We'll get to some of the reasons later. John Hope Bryant, he has what's called 5 pillars of economic success. 5 pillars. His first pillar is massive education. And what he means by that is get as much education as you can, however you can, whether it's formal or informal. Just devour it. Just absorb it like a sponge. Get all you can, so that you're not being preyed upon because of ignorance. So get all you can, and everything does not have to be formal. It doesn't. I mean, I have both. I have formal education, and then I have acquired education. And the main thing that my formal education taught me is how to learn. That's the main thing that it taught me, was how to learn. And then from there, largely, I did the rest by reading, studying, researching, things like that, because I really, really feel when it's all said and done, we all have to get ourselves as informed as possible so we can make good, solid decisions, because there is no one out there that I have seen where literally you can just do exactly everything they say. I mean, are there some universal truths? Yeah. Are there some that if you follow them all the way around that you'll do pretty well? Yeah. But in the end, you're gonna have to kind of put your own little twist in there. Number 2 for John Hope Bryant is understanding the numbers. One of the things that he talks about often is living in a capitalistic society and not understanding the rules. Unfortunately, as African Americans, that is true. I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, it started, 400 years ago, slavery, the reverse transfer of wealth, and then, the generational wealth continued over and over and over with our European brothers. And it's like we're still late to come to the game. I mean, yeah, we have small percentages of people that actually do well, but largely, there's a lot of us that have catching up to do. And just understanding how they work and everything. I mean, for example, for me, just a turning point in my life was when I started working for Merrill Lynch back in the early 90s. And even the first week that I was in there, I could just already tell, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a different world. They didn't tell us about this. They sure didn't. And I felt privileged. There was over 70 financial consultants in our office, and there was only 2, me and Marshall Miller, just us 2. And thirdly, what he talks about is self-esteem. And I 100% agree with that. I've talked on that before, is that we have to be confident and we have to have, real self-esteem. We really do. Because as a race, a lot of that's been just beat down. And a lot of people, they've lost a lot of their self-esteem. And sometimes they've lost hope. I mean, it's easy to tell. Really, if you think about it, almost anything that's done dysfunctionally, if you go back, the root of it is generally poor self-esteem. I mean, we really are going to have to love ourselves. I was fortunate. My parents instilled a lot of that in me, and even a couple of teachers along the way really helped me a lot. Both female. One was my sixth grade teacher. Another one was a high school teacher. High school teacher is Martha Harris. She just showed a lot of confidence in me. Initially, more than I had in myself. And then once I got going, I mean, I could really see, oh, wow, I just really can do this. And then became editor of the Central High School newspaper. Another significant one that really helped my self-esteem was my sixth grade teacher, Mrs. Hughes. She was really my first black teacher. I didn't have really too many female teachers, but the thing about it is it's the way she looked at me and just the way that she encouraged me. And she actually, one of the things she said to me was, she said, James, you're going to be the first black president. Well, I'm not, sorry. Barack Obama was, and I doubt that I ever even get involved with politics. But that's not the main point. The point of it is it just really, really gave me a lot of confidence. And it affects you. It affects how you act. It affects how seriously you take things. It affects how focused you are. It affects how well you plan. So she's been deceased for quite a while, but thank you, Ms. Hughes. And then obviously, leading even to the next one. The next one for John Hope Bryant is his family. What kind of family structure do you have? What kind of family support do you have? Let's just say if you try something, entrepreneurship or whatever, and it starts out slow and it's really testing your patience and everything, is your family gonna still encourage you and support you, or are they going to speak negatively towards you and abandon you and so forth? And then finally, mentorship. And I spoke on that a little bit earlier, but one of the things that he often says is that if you hang around 9 broke people, you will be the 10th. That is absolutely true. Find someone positive that's doing some things and try to spend some time with them. Try to be around them. I leave my phone open all the time. All of my mentees in my group, they have my number and they know I'm always pulling for them. And they can pick it up and they can call me anytime about anything. And I can do the same thing, at least with my local mentors here. So those right there are the base and the foundation. And I agree with both of these guys. And as far as they're just, as far as I'm concerned, just absolutely correct. My point is, even when you get started with investment, and I'm going to show you just actionable, tangible things that you can do, you still have to keep that foundation in mind. And you have to always be aware of that. Because, for example, with John Hope Bryant, he's got 5. And if you don't have at least 3 of those, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Say if you got good self-esteem, and even let's say if you got good self-esteem and education, that's 2. It's still not going to work because you don't understand the numbers, you don't have the family, you don't have the mentorship. You need at least 3 of those. If you got 3 of those, you got a chance. If you have 5 of them, it's almost a certainty. I feel blessed because I have all 5. Moving on. Number 3, get your mind right. Get your mind right. Okay? Just get the pollution out. Get the tethers off. This is what I mean by that. A lot of black people are like a tethered elephant. A tethered elephant. You know what a tethered elephant is? You ever go to a circus and you see these big, huge, powerful elephants, and then there's this little pole there stuck in the ground, and then a little rope tied on the pole and tied on the elephant's leg. Okay? That elephant is tethered to that pole. And I mean, if you look at him common sense, you're like, how is that little bitty pole going to hold that big elephant? This is how. Psychological. So much of this is psychological. When that elephant was a little baby, that elephant tried pulling on that rope, and that elephant could not pull his leg from that tether. So he was conditioned to when he got older, he didn't even try. That's us. We've been conditioned so much to where when we get older, some of us get to the point we don't even try. Take the shackles off. Free up your mind, free up your brain. The distance between here and here is the difference between where you are now and big things that are coming for you. The distance between here and here. Believe me, I promise you, it's true. So anyway, what's the next thing? I like the verse in the Bible, study to show thyself approved, blah, 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 blah. And the point there is nobody's going to like totally give it to you. I mean, well, I guess we can. You want to pay for it, but I'm going to show you how you can do it for yourself. Is, do some studying. And I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm going to tell you what to get. I'll tell you what I really like a lot. Barron's. Love it. I really like it a lot. They are very informative, educational, and you'll get a lot from it. Now, initially, if you guys have not been doing much as far as investing or anything like that, this stuff is going to probably look like Greek to you. It really will. But that's the whole point of starting to become familiar with it, because the more you become familiar with it, the less like Greek it'll seem. Here's something else. CNBC. When you're not doing anything, you just got downtime, you got the TV on in the background, turn it on CNBC and try to have it on regularly. You would be surprised how over time some of that stuff starts to make sense. It really does. And then when we start talking about profit taking, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, you'll know. You won't have to go back. What does that mean again? What does that mean again? Profit taking. Get you a couple, decent podcasts and start listening to them. A lot of times they don't cost anything. And then, once you get into you start digging into the programs, they usually monetize it and so forth. But a lot of times they'll feed you enough to get started anyway. Also, and even on those podcasts, kind of scroll around and once you do, get like 2 or 3 that you like, and then limit it to that. Just limit it to that. There's one that I like. It's called EYL. EYL. I think it's like Earn Your Leisure or something like that. But those cats, they hit. They hit pretty good. Books. Read some books. You can either get the paperback or audio. Okay. The Wealth Choice by Dennis Kimbrough is a good start. And also, I want you to start out with The Memo by John O'Brien, because that will just give you a good foundational understanding of things. All right. So we got podcasts, Barron's, CNBC, and books. That'll get you started just as far as information. But now what you can do is, let's go make some money for you, all right? So that stimulus check, you're going to get $1,400. Whatever. Do whatever you want with the $400. The $1,000, take it and do this. Download the Robinhood app, okay? You're going to buy 10 things with that. There's a lot of built-in things here we have as far as asset allocation, diversification, blah, 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 that I don't have the time to go into now. But you guys, my masterclass is open. Actually, the sign-up starts tomorrow, the 13th, which by the time this airs, it will be the 13th. So from the 13th through the 21st is open enrollment for that. Then it closes. And then actually the classes start on January the 30th. They're Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 9 for 9 weeks. So it's serious. We're digging into stuff. So this is like just a quick run over just to feed you enough where you can get started without paying anybody money or anything like that. But download the Robinhood app. And these are the 10 things that you're going to buy. You're going to buy $100 worth of Walmart. You're like, Walmart? That's just a big, giant Dow Jones stocks. They're going to move that much or whatever. Remember, on this one, just follow my instructions on here. This is the thing about Walmart. Walmart's not going anywhere. And that's another reason why we're calling this demystifying investments, because I'm showing you guys it ain't that complicated. I mean, you got a lot of people that write all these investment books and things like that. Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, blah, 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 blah. And I read them just so I know what they're saying. But, okay, let me just, I'm going to save you $20 right now on your next Susie Orman book. This is what it says in the book. The book says, don't spend more than you make. Thanks, Susie. The book says, there's 2 ways to make money. Make more or spend less. Thanks, Susie. There you go. It's a wrap. Okay? That's the main thing that she says in her book. And pay off your debt. Thanks, Susie. She's correct, but how much meat did she really give you? Okay? So let's get back to the Walmart thing, for example. I want to tell you about this Danny McAllister story. So I'm a young broker, investment or a financial consultant at Merrill Lynch in the early 90s. So being one of the younger guys, newer guys, you get all the junk that nobody else wants, that all the big time corner office, senior brokers, they don't want. So you get these little bitty accounts from $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 accounts, and you're supposed to call these customers, blah, 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 right? So anyway, I get this one. He's got like $1,800 in a IRA, and it hasn't been touched for, probably 8-9 years, okay? Guy's name is Danny McAllister. I was working in Little Rock. Danny McAllister lived in Hope, Arkansas, watermelon capital of the United States, Hope, Arkansas. Keep in mind, only black people in Hope, not all of them, but a lot of black people in Hope, Arkansas are like poverty line and things like that. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, I called Danny McAllister. He works at Walmart, okay? And he works, I don't remember what it is. It's like shipping and receiving, something like that. It was like a regular job at Walmart. So we started talking. I tell him, hey, you got an IRA here, blah, 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 blah. We got to figure out what you want to do with it, blah, 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 blah. This is what he tells me. He goes, I'm glad that you called because I'm getting ready to retire pretty soon and I need to figure out what to do. He got my ear. I'm like, okay, all right, let's talk about it. So we talked for a little while, and he tells me that he has this ESOP plan from Walmart, which basically just from working at Walmart, it's employee stock option plans. Just every check, you got a little bit of Walmart stock, and he just let it accumulate. Back then, Walmart stock was growing super fast. I mean, it was literally growing, splitting. So when it splits, it doubles the amount of shares that you own, all right? Growing, like for example, it will start at 20, go to 40, they split it. So if you start out with 100 shares, now you got 200 shares at 20, you doubled your money, go right back to 40 split, and it just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over. Okay, so this guy had some Walmart ESOP. And I'm like, okay, Danny, why don't you, back then we didn't really have the email and all that stuff. Why don't you send that to us and let me analyze it and call you back, okay? And we'll set up something nice for you. So anyway, he sends all of these ESOP statements in, right? And I get to adding these things up, and I'm like, this dude got over $1 million here in Walmart ESOP. I'm like, and so I show my boys, right? And they're like, how'd you get that in? And by now, it's too late for the big dogs to get it because it's my account, right? And so I called Danny back, and I remember this is something I heard Prince say one time. He was talking about a few chords. He learned how to play, and he's like, oh, well, that's enough to at least impress people, okay? And I thought that was kind of funny, even being the great musician he was. But one thing about it is when you're educated through the Merrill Lynch system, you can talk and you can speak. You can talk to talk, and you understand the jargon, the language, all of that type of stuff, okay? So think about this. I call this cat back, and I do this a little bit on purpose. I'm hitting him with all this stuff. Yeah, Danny, we want to make sure that we have proper asset allocation, and we want to diversify, and we want to make sure we get you the proper tax shelters. We're going to do a little estate planning, blah, blah, blah. This whole thing, right? I'm killing this mug, right? And he said, yeah, I need that. I'm like, yeah, I agree, Danny. Think you do. So we got a good plan designed for you, and it's going to take you well into retirement, which we did. And I'm certain it did. I don't know if he's still alive now, but if he is, I promise you, financially, I set him up good. But anyway, so Danny drives. He's like, yeah, let me come on up there and talk to you. I'm like, come on up. So he drives up to our corporate office in Little Rock from Hope. Evidently on the phone, I don't think he knew I was black. He just assumed somebody that knows that much and that can speak like that has got to be white. I'm sure he just assumed it, right? And so he gets there, and his wife is there with him, bless her heart, and his eyes light up like saucers. I mean, I kind of, and I just played it off like, whatever, and then just spit out some impressive sounding stuff. And with some nice, courteous stuff. And you could just read his mind, and you can say, I think I need to turn around and go back. I didn't know this was a black guy. And I could see his wife talking to him with the, no, you're not. I don't care what color he is. We need to do what he's talking about doing. So went into the conference room, got it all set up, and Danny's good to go. And that's my Walmart stock story. The moral of that, or the point of that is, as far as I'm concerned, never sleep on Walmart. Never sleep on Walmart. Even with COVID going on right now, you go in there and everybody else is shut down, going out of business, and they're booming. All right, number 2 stock, Amazon. Same thing. They're cracking. Like, damn, I could have figured that out myself. That's what I'm saying. It ain't that complicated. All right. Number 3, get you $100 of Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, I've been hearing all about that. I don't know what to do. That's okay. A lot of people don't really totally know. I mean, it gets a little complicated. It's cryptocurrency. A couple things about it is it is an alternative to the dollar and things like that. And the authorities and even the big Wall Street houses, they came out for quite a while going, oh, no, stay away from Bitcoin. Stay away from Bitcoin. That's way too volatile. It's not regulated, blah, blah, blah. That in and of itself should have told you, hey, maybe it's a pretty good idea to get involved in this. And this is the other sneaky little play, is that while these guys were telling everyone else Stay away from it. Stay away from it. They were telling their clients, stay away from it. It's too risky. This is what they do. They take multi-million and billion dollars worth of positions and dump them in Bitcoin. Did you notice the big rise in Bitcoin? This past, 3-6 months, that has a lot to do with it. That plus you got a lot of the smaller guys like you guys with the Robinhood apps, Acorn, things like that where you can buy fractions of shares now that are getting involved on the ride too. And then you'll have some people that have been in since 2011 and just making big money. I mean, the way that it's gone up has been pretty incredible. My stance on that is I like to have some, because when it does run up, you can participate in that. I would never, the fact that I'm telling you 10%, I would never have more than 10% of it in my portfolio because it really is too volatile. And as far as I'm concerned, one of my main things always is diversify. If you're talking to me at all about any type of savings, investing, anything like that, and you're going to put everything in one thing, whatever it is, we can't even really talk because we're not even seeing each other at all. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's the same principle your parents told you. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket. I will never, ever, ever, no matter how good something looks, go away from that. And that's also your built-in protection. Look at the Bernie Madoff thing. And it was amazing when they went back in the end and they looked that so many millionaires gave their money to Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff was making them a lot of money, okay? They got away from the basic principles of just diversification. There are a lot of people that gave Bernie Madoff all their money, period. And then when he wiped them out, everything was gone. And you think to yourself, how do these millionaires who are smart let one person wipe them out like that? Okay? Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Remember that. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Johnson & Johnson. I like Johnson & Johnson for several reasons. They make a lot of disinfectants. They are also working on a thing for the virus, COVID vaccinations, what they're working on. Theirs, they don't have all approvals yet. They're getting closer. The difference between theirs and like Pfizer and things like that is that theirs is like a one-dose vaccine. Another thing that's kind of cool about theirs is that it's not as expensive. It's not as hard to maintain because like Pfizer's, you got to keep like really cold and so forth. And it can spoil pretty fast. The one from Johnson & Johnson doesn't. And another thing is Johnson & Johnson does not have a super huge stake in it. So in other words, whatever they get from it is gravy. The other thing to note is that their vaccine right now is not supposed to be quite as effective. Don't quote me on these numbers, but I think Pfizer is supposed to be like 95% or something like that. Johnson & Johnson, don't quote me on this. It might be like 85%, something like that. So statistically not as effective. You got bulls and bears saying different things on it. But what I like is that even if they don't do anything with it, they're not going anywhere. Square is banging. Square has got a beautiful future. I think Square is one of those companies that can make you tempted. Oh, I'm just going to put everything there. Well, you got to get back to the diversification thing. Spotify. Oh, man. Same thing. Spotify is just got a nice future. They're banging. Their CEO is sharp. The guy is, he's just impressive all the way around. Even as a human, he's impressive. I mean, like one of the things that he's doing is that they are venturing with a lot of young upstart minority businesses, things like that, and watch those, because remember, that's what I do is I get a lot of minority businesses started, and I know I'm not the only one doing it. In Atlanta, they're popping, okay, because more people are, they're waking up. They're waking up. They're realizing that what we've been doing is we've been literally sitting, waiting for crumbs to work to enrich someone else, and more of them are figuring that out. I got to figure out how to make something for myself. But Spotify is ahead of the curve there. Watch them. They're banging. Apple. I don't even like Apple, okay? But what's the theme of this? Is demystifying investments. In other words, I don't like the company. I don't like iPhones and all of that kind of stuff. But you don't have to like something to respect it, okay? Think about some of Steve Jobs' basic principles when he first started Apple. And his point was, let's make this thing to where it's very user-friendly. And let's figure out a way to get it to everybody. Okay, and so that started that revolution. Now everyone has a mobile phone, mobile device. Everybody has that. It's normal now, and they're not going anywhere. And they're just, even the way that they set everything up to where you gotta buy things through them so often. And so forth. And the same thing for Microsoft. They're the next one. I hate Microsoft, okay? I'm not a techie guy. I hate the way that they hold you hostage, and buying all their stuff, using all their stuff, and so much doesn't work unless you have, the Microsoft software and things like that. I hate it, but I'm not stupid, okay? So get Microsoft too, all right? S&P 500, the index fund, get that too. Spend 10% on that also. The thing about that is the S&P 500 is what it is just reflective of the stocks that are in the S&P 500. And I can remember a lot of years where if you did nothing but just own that index, it outperformed the majority of the brokers and investment consultants in the United States. So in other words, you're paying these guys that money to invest your money, and you could have just bought some mutual funds or whatever, an S&P 500, and it would have done better, and your fees would have been a lot lower. So I actually saw that, 30 years ago. I actually saw that, and lo and behold, more and more and more people are doing. As a matter of fact, that's another one of your little Susie Orman things. Buy index funds. So yeah, she's not wrong on that, but it's another one of those things. Never, don't do all of anything. And then on the 10th one, let's just call that a wild card. I would like to maybe put $100 in a REIT, real estate investment trust, because that's getting you started real estate investing without actually buying property and things like that. Plus, most of them pay really nice dividends too. And that dividend, unless they suspend the dividends, that's money that you can just bank on. You can just bank on no matter what the market is doing and so forth. But I've always liked REITs for a long time. You don't really hear that much about them, but I like them. Just, there's good ones and bad ones, just like everything else. So anyway, when you get the app, this is another cool thing about it. And I'm not like endorsing Robinhood, okay, because there's quite a few of those little apps. They're pretty good. But I can speak on that one because what I did when I started Foundation back in July is I took a few of those and I just put money in several. And then just so I'm not going to be able to tell you guys without actually using it myself. And the cool thing that I like about it is you get constant updates, and the education on there is impressive. I mean, literally, I'll give you an example. Okay, when I worked for a Wall Street firm, so we're talking about a stock or clients inquiring about a stock. And I forget the name of our chief analyst back then, John something or whatever, but he was pretty cold. He's pretty cold. And then literally all we had to say is, John blah, 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 blah says that's a buy or that's a hold and that's a sell. And this is the reason. This is the price earnings ratios of the last 4 quarters. They've done this, this, and this, and this. And this is what our projections. And the beta is blah. And basically what beta is just the volatility of stock. It's got a low beta, blah, 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 blah. And on top of that, it even pays a nice dividend, blah. Okay, so now you got the whole thing, right? So anyway, you can hit just a couple buttons on this app and it breaks it down. And it breaks it down to where anybody can understand it. And literally, it will give you the summary of what the bulls are saying and a summary of what the bears are saying. What I mean by that, bulls and bears are the bulls are the ones who are positive on the stock and feel good about it, think it's going to do good things. And the bears are the ones who are negative on it. And you can get both of them. And you can make up your mind. So it's a pretty cool little deal. And what do you got? All you did was you took your stimulus money and you're getting all this, you know. So it's a pretty cool thing. Another thing about this is that you get to participate with the magic of compounding. The magic of compounding. It's been there in front of us all the time. That gets back to what John Hope Bryant says about living in a capitalistic society and not knowing the rules. Okay, you hear compounding, you think, so what? That means nothing to me. Well, it should mean a lot to you. Okay, you take Warren Buffett, one of the richest guys in the world. And one thing about Warren Buffett is he's not complicated at all. And he will tell you flat out the way that he's made most of his millions and millions and millions and over $1 billion now is just watching the magic of compounding, putting the money in there, letting it grow, and then your investments are making, you know, they're growing on top of what your new number is. So if you start with $100,000 and it did 10%, so it's 110. Okay, now it's compounding more than just on 100,000, 110. And then you keep going with that. It's not complicated, but not enough people are taking advantage of it. And you got to do it. You have to do it. And that's another reason why we're just giving you this meat like this is because no matter what your circumstances are or whatever, just get started. If you don't have the 1,000 that you want to take from your stimulus, use 100, okay? Same basic principles. Let me give you an example. This is what I did just to kind of show how compounding works. Because I took and just hypothetically with investment calculator, I took and started with $20,000, okay? Started with $20,000 and adding $200 a month to that, okay? And growing it for 10 years, okay? And we were growing it at 10%. And long-term, you know, mark has been, 9, 10% in there, so forth. But I think if you work at it, I think it's not unreasonable to expect to outperform it. That's just what I feel, okay? Everybody doesn't feel that way. That's what I feel. But anyway, let's just say you're doing that. So you start with $20,000, and what you're doing is you're doing $200 a month, so that's adding another $2,400 a year to it. So in essence, what you have over 10 years is that's grown to $47,847. But this is the cool thing about it, is that your starting amount was 22% of the end total, okay? Your total contributions were 26% of the end total. The interest in the compounding was 52% of the end total. See that right there, if you can see it? So the light blue, 22%, that's your initial investment. The dark blue, 26%, that's what you contributed with what we call dollar cost averaging, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And then the 52% here, That's from just letting your money work for you. And that's really the difference between how rich people think and how poor people think, okay? Because most poor people don't have very much patience. Rich people, they know the program. They don't mind sit back waiting. And the whole point is, are you working for your money or is your money working for you? Because while they're sleeping, that money is growing. Personally, I like to go long on stocks. What I mean by that is I like to buy and hold. I think 10 years is like an excellent horizon. And that's another thing where I say, get your mind right, get your mind right. Because like a lot of young people, you're so impatient. They just want something to happen now. So I'm just saying, just know that right now. We're not looking for now. We're looking for 10 years down the road. In my case, for my grandson to be born, I'm looking for 18 years down the road. So I got 18 years. And when this dude turns 18, he's going to be free. He's going to be free to make decisions. And he will have 18 years worth of me just boom, pouring into him, boom, pouring into him, boom, pouring into him, and so forth. So he will know more at 18 than most of these jackleg brokers out there, for real. Not even exaggerating at all, because most of them really aren't that impressive. They're just not. All right, so there you go. That's what to do with your stimulus money. And if you want more, sign up for our masterclass. And we go deeper into this stuff. And I mean, we really just dig down into that. And we'll explain all that stuff, beta, profit taking, and so forth. Okay, speaking of which, I meant to say this about Bitcoin, is that another thing about Bitcoin, what I would do is I use the profit-taking philosophy in there. And so what I mean by that is, say if you start here and it runs way up here, and it can, because it can run way up and it can run way down. So if it runs way up here, what I do is I take this much out and I put that in my pocket or put it somewhere else. Okay? I still got this, and guess what? If it keeps running, I can participate in it. What if it gets smashed? Bam! It gets smashed and goes down. I haven't lost anything because I've taken my original profits and I put it, my original investment, and I put it in my pocket account, invested in something else, and it's I'm on what do they call it, on the house? I'm playing with house money at that point in time. That's one thing. And another thing that I like about Bitcoin is I recommend buying it on corrections. Every time it corrects, just keep an eye on it. And with this Robinhood app, it shows you every day. Just buy it on corrections. And what I mean by corrections is if it's a deep dip, okay, because it's volatile, it's got wild swings, and you guys got to remember, you got the big Wall Street houses in there now, okay? And when they do something, there's going to be big swings, okay? So if they take money out in blocks, it's going to drop good. If they put money in blocks, it's going to go up good. And even though it's run up real nice now, I think it had some kind of a little correction today or whatever, but even though it's had a nice run, I think it's going to run some more for a couple different reasons. One is it's an alternative, okay? We don't have gold to back our currency anymore. That stopped in 1970 with Richard Nixon. What happened is that every dollar printed from the United States was literally backed in gold. So technically, that dollar really was worth $1 in gold for real. 1970, Nixon got the United States off the gold standard. So basically right now, what our United States dollar is basically, as far as it's a debt instrument, literally. It's a debt instrument. Literally, I'm not making this up. I'm not. This is how the Fed funds itself, is by printing money. That's how it funds itself. It costs 3 cents to print $1. It costs 3 cents to print $20. 3 cents to print a $100 bill. Everything else is profit straight to the Fed. Not making that up. Not making that up. Okay, so what makes it worth anything? Well, what makes it worth anything is this thought, backed by the faith of the United States government, backed by the trust and the faith of the United States government. Okay, we all know what happened this week. You had some hillbillies go down to the Capitol, and those mugs were sitting in the United States Senate with their legs up, traipsing through with the Confederate flag and all that. And so you may think it's funny, in a way it is kind of funny, but there's psychological damage done there, okay? What is the dollar backed by? The strength and the faith of the United States government. The United States government looked like Booby the Fool on January the 6th, okay? So I think that's another reason why some money might be flocking to alternatives like Bitcoin, and then there'll be other people that they'll literally be buying things that are tangible, like gold and things like that. Also, so that ain't no joke. They need to get that worked out for real for a lot of reasons. All right, let's move on. You know what? This has lasted for a long time. It's already been an hour. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. In 10 minutes, I'm going to try to whip through raising your credit score 100 points or so, give or take, in a 13-month time span. All right, so this, and then I'll just go through it quickly. If you need more details, you can contact me and I'll talk you through it. And also in the masterclass, we cover this in detail. And that's another reason for the masterclass is literally after that 9 weeks, we're going to have a bunch more lions out in the economy. So some of you guys, one of the things that I hear people say all the time is, why don't they teach this that in school? Why don't they teach that in school? Well, the reason why is that they have the money, they control the money, you work for them, okay? Why would they tell you how to be where they are? Why would they? Okay? Another analogy is, and this is not mine, this is from a young brother, I like him. Wall Street Trapper. I'm sorry, bro, I don't remember your exact name. But even when you go and you Google him and you look on his website and all that, he doesn't really even use his name much. He's literally just using that name, Wall Street Trapper. But let me tell you, well, anyway, so this is what I got from him, is he says, lions, they're carnivores. So they eat zebras, gazelles, impalas, so forth. He says so, and they're top of that food chain. Okay, he says so. Why would the lion tell the zebra or the gazelle how to escape? Think about it. And that applies to us. So what I've been saying all along is that economics are much more significant than skin color. They really are. Michael Jordan, he's not really worried about somebody bothering him, harassing him. His wealth protects him a great deal. So anyway, okay, let's talk about the credit thing. Here it is right here. And we'll figure out how to post that somewhere or something. I don't know. We'll see. We know for a fact that you get it in the master class. Oh, getting back a little bit to that. In the master class, one of the names that I use for it is Uncle James Master Class. And the way that I came up with that is that a lot of the young people that I've helped that aren't blood related, they just started calling me Uncle James. And I'm like, I like that. I like that. I'm flattered. Every time one of these young people refer to me is, thank you, Uncle James. Thank you, Uncle James. I appreciate Uncle James. I'm like, okay, you're welcome. I appreciate that. So there you go with the moniker Uncle James. And that's kind of how that got started, is that these young people, young lions we're getting them ready, and we, we got 8 young new entrepreneurs we've already launched out in the business, and we're just getting started. I mean, because some of these cats that are going to be coming through in the next year or two are going to be just smoking. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, I got some of these dudes, if I'm talking, boom, they are sponges absorbing it. They are sponges absorbing it, and when they get unleashed, these cats, okay, Rob, Todd, for example, I promise you this, they're both like in their last year or two of college. But while they're going to school, they're taking it in, okay? I promise you this, both of those dudes, within 5 years from graduating from college, will be millionaires on paper. Okay, so we got some bad young people upcoming through, and they're sponges. So anyway, here we go. So with the credit improvement, credit score is important. We hear that, but it's a form of freedom in and of itself. It really is, because the difference between a low credit score and a high credit score, it affects a lot of things. It could affect employment, how much you pay for insurance, obviously how much interest rate you pay, whether you can get a mortgage on a house or not, and even the rate on that. It literally very easily could be the difference between hundreds of millions of dollars per year. And so if you've paid that in interest, that's just not even, you're being taken advantage of. You're a gazelle. You are. So anyway, first of all, write it down. Okay, I'm breaking it down to you right here. Write it down, put it on paper, and constantly monitor it. I am a huge believer in plans. Some of you guys know that. I'm a huge believer because an idiot with a plan will outperform a genius without a plan almost every time. You have to have it. That's one of those things with me too. You don't have a plan, we can't even really talk. We can't, because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. So just start by just putting it on the paper. Here, I'll give you an idea how to the extent that I take this sometimes. This right here, see that? That's an itinerary. And that's an itinerary of basically whenever we can get all 4 kids here at the same time. And it's designed to maximize our family time together. My kids, for 2 or 3 years or whatever, they have fun with it. They'd say, "So Daddy, what's the itinerary?" So they're kind of, being passive aggressive, making fun of it or whatever. I didn't worry about it, just let it roll. And then lo and behold, fast forward a few more years down the road, they got friends coming in from out of town to visit them, and they're calling me and thanking me, "Daddy, thank you for the itineraries. I'm making itineraries for my friends, and they just love it." All it is it's a plan. And, for example, one of the things that we do when we can get them together is we try to all go to, like sporting event, the Vikings game or something like that, okay? Viking tickets aren't like the cheapest thing in the world, all right? And if they're having a good year, and if you wait to the last minute to try to buy a ticket, you're paying like crazy money for them. You could be paying like 3-4 times face value. That's not even smart. And so I'll have this itinerary done way in advance, and I have figured out a way to get 6 tickets, one for the kids and one for my wife, without it, being unreasonably priced at all. Let's move on. Get the Credit Karma app. I mean, I'm like the Robin Hood. I'm not sitting there endorsing one app over another or whatever, but I know, it does what it's supposed to do and so forth. Don't get too tied to it and just start doing all kind of crazy stuff, but just get the app so that you can have an idea of where you are now. And that's and in that way, it's not a hard credit pull either. Is it the gospel? No, but it gives you a real good idea of about where your credit score is. Is it in the 500s, the 600s, the 700s, so forth, okay? But get that so that you're informed. And then also another thing that it will do is it'll let you know, is there something on there that's not supposed to be on there? And we're going to get to that. Next, step 3, Google 609 letter templates. What a 609 letter is it's basically just a letter that you send to the credit bureaus that contest something that's on your credit report. So you see something on your credit report that's not there, or you want to contest or whatever, you can just take these templates and just mail them to the 3 major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and just that alone. It works, and it has been working for quite a while. They have to respond in a certain amount of time. I think it's like 30 days. They don't respond, boom, they have to wipe it off. And a lot of times you guys I see a lot of young people with stuff on there that really isn't supposed to be on there. Okay, so nobody's going to contest that. And every once in a while, sometimes you can get other stuff wiped off too. Okay, next thing is most of us have no idea what secondary bureaus are, credit bureaus are, reports. Some of us barely know what the main 3 are, okay? But there's an undercurrent of what's called secondary bureaus, credit bureaus and things like that. And they are bureaus that are pulled by employers, by rental companies, mortgage companies, and all kinds of stuff like that. And they'll have things on there like if you ever had a criminal record, that's where it is. You ever been evicted from a house, that's where it is, and so forth. So it has all that stuff on there. Most of us aren't even aware of it. And you notice you don't hear really anybody talking about it. Okay, that's meat for you. Thank you, Uncle James. You're welcome. So what I mean by opt out of those is just Google secondary markets, go in and just opt out of every last one of them. Basically what that does is freeze your credit. Okay, here we go. What I was looking for is like the names of some of them. There's so many of them. There's like LexisNexis, CoreLogic, Clarity Services, Sterling, Sage Streams, DataX, HighRight, IntelliCorp, First Advantage, Sterling. You get my point. So what it does is freezes it, and the majority of you guys, it's probably not doing you any favors anyway. What if you had stubbed your toe somewhere down the road? You want to move away from that. You don't want it affecting you, or if you had a problem with a rent situation or something like that. Even if you don't, what you can do is you can go in and you can see what they have there for free, all right? And see if it's correct and see if you like it. If you like it, leave it alone. If it's talking about a misdemeanor marijuana charge you had 13 years ago, what's the point in keeping that on there? That's not helping you. So go in and just get it deleted. And it's easy to do. All you got to do is Google it, go in, follow the prompts, opt out, bam. Okay? Next thing. The 609 letters. Sign them, mail them all to the main bureaus. Okay? If you don't hear anything back, then they have to delete it. Step number 6, set aside $300 to $500. Just set it aside. Okay? And some of this stuff, you're going to have some measure of discipline. You just are. We're trying to be reasonable with it, but you're just going to have some measure of discipline. Set aside $300 to $500, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So then once you start getting some things deleted off your credit file, go to creditcards.com and, get you a couple credit cards. Capital One, most people can qualify for that, or Chase, things like that. And how reputable the name is does matter. Like there are a couple of these companies, literally, they're just gangsters, straight up. First Premier, okay, they're one of gangsters, straight up. I'll give you an example. They'll say, oh yeah, it's easy to get approved. And yeah, you got a $300 limit or whatever, okay? And so this is what they'll do. they'll have fees that they take about half of that up. So instead of $300 limit, your limit's only like $150, and you still, it's just not smart. Okay, so if it gets down to where your credit has been bruised that much, to where those are your only options, don't do that. Instead, just get a secure credit card, and I'll show you what to do with all that. So anyway, go buy something that you need, okay? Not junk, not trash, whatever. Go buy something that you need, okay, with the credit card. And then the first 2 months, the minimum payment, just double the minimum payment. So if they say the minimum payment is 18, send 36. Okay, and then next month they say the minimum payment is 18, send 36. Okay, the third month, pay it down to zero. Just pay it down to zero. So this is in effect what you've done there is now you've established some credit. Okay, and when you paid it down to zero, you're helping yourself as far as the utilization. The reason why you don't pay it off right away is because every company, they have what's called sweeps, okay? And they come around, they take like a snapshot picture, and we don't know the exact day that each company has a sweep. So that way you're not trying to guess. It's there for a couple months, okay? You know it's taking the picture at least once and maybe twice. Then you pay it to zero. That makes you look good. After you pay it to zero, take the card, put it up somewhere. I'm not saying cut it up, but put it up somewhere, because one of the mistakes that people make is they'll have a card in good standing and then they'll cut it up. That's not good. You want to keep that line open, but keep it to zero, and also continue to monitor it too. Okay, continue to monitor that just to make sure that it's still at zero, because like I said, some of these companies, particularly the subprime companies and things like that, they'll send like monthly charges or whatever. $6.95 service charge or whatever. And let's just say you're under the impression that you paid it down to zero and you're not really paying any attention, and they hit you for the $6.95 charge, okay? So then they hit you for another $6.95 charge the next month. Then you start getting these collection calls. You're like, what are you talking about? I paid it to zero. And they're showing you on the credit bureau 60 days late. So just keep an eye on that, because you meant well, but you you just keep an eye on it. Next thing is check on authorized users, and that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day. I don't have time to really get into it now, but a lot of creative things are being done with that. So what I mean by that, authorized users, there's authorized user goes both ways. Basically what authorized user is, it's a card where either you're listed as an authorized user or someone else is listed as an authorized user. You'll start to hear more and more about that now. I don't have a lot of time, so I can't get deep into it, but be careful. But like, say, for example, if it's a relative that you're close to and they trust you, you can become maybe an authorized user on their card that's in good standing, which basically means that you get credit for that. So if their card had a $20,000 limit and it's paid down to zero and it's been paid on time for the last 20 years, man, is that going to bump your score up. And the way to properly do that is, whether you're letting someone else be the authorized user, you're the authorized user, is make sure the person who is the authorized user does not have access to the actual card at all, period. And have an agreed upon date and time that is terminated. I mean, some of these cats, like when we talk in a master course about like creating wealth and things like that, I mean, there are some of these cats that literally have a business of that where they're making all kinds of money, where they'll have several authorized users. They're charging $600 or $700 for 60 days. So if you got 10 of those and you're charging $700 each, that's $7,000 just for doing that. And you wasn't really doing anything, and you got it set up to where they can't use it, they don't have access for it or anything. That's real if you know what you're doing. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, you might go to jail or something. So what I'm saying, things like that, is don't just start jumping in the water without being, informed well on that. But there's so many things that can be done when you open your mind and you get that knowledge in, okay? Get an installment loan, okay? Because your credit is scored by all the different varieties of credit, You got revolving credit, installment credit, revolving credits like credit cards and things like that. You don't really want to have a lot of revolving credit. I mean, I've seen a lot of times where people come into my office and they have like $60,000 in revolving credit. So that's like credit card debt, like 23, 24, 25%. That's like insane. That is debt prison right there. So really, once you kind of get going, I believe just try to keep your revolving credit way down. I mean, there's some guys out there, when you start listening to some of these podcasts and stuff like that, they'll take it and they're using it, they're flipping it, they're turning it, they're making other stuff with it. But those cats really know what they're doing, okay? And I mean, if you're going to jump off in something like that, you got to really know what you're doing. But for now, do the best you can to keep that as low as possible. So get some installment credit. Installment credit is like car, furniture, something like that. Try to make it something that you need, because this is what we're going to do next. And try to make it to where it's modestly priced, because we want to try to pay it off in 13 months. So let's just say, I don't know, say you get a $8,000 car, okay? You get this $8,000 car, then what we're going to do is we're just going to make big enough payments to pay this thing off in 13 months. Well, why not 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, or whatever? The reason why is because there's a big difference in credit scoring on something that's paid as agreed 12 consecutive months. Mortgage companies look at it, auto companies look at it, a lot of them. It really makes a difference. So like say if you stopped at 12 months, maybe the credit bureau only credits you for 11 months and you just shot yourself in the foot. So that's why I say 13 months. I don't even know why I haven't read that anywhere. I mean, I just came up with that on my own, and I don't know why I haven't read that anywhere. It must be, somebody must have told somebody, but that's the way you want to do that, because that'll automatically show you it's 12 months on time credit. Boom, you got that, pay that to zero. Guess what? You had $8,000 loan, it's down to zero. That utilization just went up, and that's a whole lot of points right there. And what you have done is you've raised your credit score by 100 points or more. Boom, 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 boom. Just like that. Get your mind right. Get your mind right. This is what you've done, is in essence, you have financially freed yourself to what? Purchase a home, invest in real estate, get a business loan, or create passive income. I mean, there's, like I said, a lot of ideas out there. Join the masterclass, and then we can talk about some of that. But as far as today, I'm actually over my time limit. Man, y'all got that for free, because after this 9 months, I ain't going to lie to you. I'm going to monetize my whole curriculum. And so if you're smart, be like some of my young guys. Get it now. Get it now, okay? I'll talk to you guys later. Stay blessed. And I love you guys. I'll pray for you, and I'll pray for me also, okay? Peace.